The Daredevil Born Again spoiler train continues, so if you're not up to episode 3 of that show and you don't want spoilers, click away now, it will not hurt my feelings. So we knew that John Bernthal would be reprising his role as Frank Castle in Daredevil Born Again, and now we have a pretty damn good idea of how he'll factor into the story, as the last couple episodes demonstrated that the Punisher is apparently more popular with the police than any rational person would like. Several corrupt cops have been shown to have Punisher tattoos, and an outright Punisher copycat murders White Tiger in cold blood at the end of episode 3. Well, they were wearing a hood, so I guess it could have been Frank, but I doubt it. Hector doesn't fit the mold of people that would usually make Frank's list, and more to the point, the main way that Marvel keeps the Punisher around as a remotely enjoyable character is by bestowing him with a preternatural ability to both avoid killing innocents and to correctly identify the guilty, so I don't think that's a thread they're willing to pull on too hard. Anyways, we've seen Frank encounter aspiring copycat Punishers in the comics, and for an idea of how that went, we're going to take a look at the Garth Ennis miniseries, Welcome Back, Frank. Fresh off a 4-issue stint working for Heaven, Frank's return to his back-to-basics approach to criminal killing. Well, if you consider punching a polar bear in the face to get it mad enough to attack people is back to basics. But in the backdrop of his war with the Ganucci family, a trio of new killers have risen to rid the city of criminals. One, a priest calling himself the Holy, isn't exactly a Punisher copycat, as he was already murdering people before he knew of Frank's existence, taking confessions from those in his neighborhood and then killing the ones who were clearly expecting him to absolve their sins so they could continue. Ironically, the Holy refused to practice what he preached, begging God for forgiveness each time but continuing to kill, and abandoning redemption altogether when he realized there were others like him. There's also the Elite, a masked man ostensibly trying to keep his neighborhood safe by killing anyone who threatens it, but gradually exposes himself as a racist, fascist, classist asshole. While he starts with drug dealers, he quickly progresses to shooting a dog whose owner let it pee on the sidewalk, and blowing up a hot dog cart due to not fitting in with his envisioned image of the neighborhood. And then there's Mr. Payback, a man with a vendetta against white-collar crime and big corporations ruining people's lives for profit and paying their way out of consequences. And while that manifesto makes him arguably the most reasonable sounding of the bunch, his methods ultimately result in avoidable civilian casualties, which he attempts to brush off when pressed on it. The three eventually meet up and decide to work together with the ultimate intention of convincing Punisher to lead them, but thanks to ideological differences regarding the nature of punishable crime, the self-styled Vigilante squad never ended up getting anything done besides arguing until Frank, having finally wrapped up his business with the Ganuccis, tears them all a new one in the figurative and also very literal sense. Yeah, it turns out that despite the Punisher considering Daredevil and other superheroes to be soft-hand band-aids, he generally has a pretty dim view of other people trying to do what he does. Which means his reaction to official law enforcement agents taking up his skull and his vigilante-style execution methods in Born Again ought to be an interesting one.